So we are going to call to order the February 27th, 2025 Public Art Commission meeting. It's now 6 o'clock. And the first item on our agenda is going to be our minutes from the January meeting. And Tanisha sent all of those out to us for review. Thank you, Tanisha, for doing that. So if we're ready to approve those, I can take a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented by staff.
Thank you, Elmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was very loud.
And I can't see you guys, so I will need y'all to.
Second, Shan.
Shan, you got a second? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I can see now from my other camera. I see the live stream. Great. Okay. All right. Is there any discussion on the minutes? I'll take silence as a no, so I will take a vote. All in favor of approving the January minutes? I'm raising my hand. That's an affirmative. Okay. All right. Sounds like we're all in favor, so they are approved.
Okay, for our liaison report, first of all, oh, you know what? Yeah, I was hoping that we could, that I would request an action to change the agenda order, to move new business to the beginning of the agenda so that we can go through the seat voting before going through everything else.
Motion to amend the agenda to change the order of business to new business first, followed by liaison report and old business.
Great.
Second.
Do we have a second? All right. Thank you, Tom. All in favor? Aye. All right. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes.
All right, if you guys will just give me 1 second, I'm going to skip to new business. All right, and since Brittany can't exactly see what we're doing, I'll go ahead and talk us through this one. We need to fill the chair, vice chair, and secretary for the year. These are some of the roles and, these are some of the responsibilities that I've listed out. And then I've also provided some of the Roberts rules in case we have any questions. Basically, the same person can be nominated for a position that they are currently in. We can also nominate someone who is not here, such as Paulina, as long as they expressed beforehand that they would be willing to take that role, which she has done. So if anyone wants to do that, anyone can be nominated and anyone can nominate. You can also self-nominate. We do not need seconds on nominations. Once the nominating is over, we then move to vote on that. There is, if we want to really follow, you are supposed to first declare determine how the vote will take place, which would be by voice in this case. So we can open up the nominations first.
So I guess we'll start with we want to start with the chair position?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I would say I am interested in continuing the role of the chair position for 2025. So I'll throw my hat in the ring for that. But if there's anyone else who feels so inclined, you are also welcome to throw your hat in the ring.
No, do we need to make a, like, of course, she's gonna, yeah, not be challenged, are we gonna just, do we need to make a motion? Or do
We don't, we
Okay.
just basically have her listed as a nomination, and then once we move towards voting, then we vote on those.
Got it.
So I think we can do nominations for all three and then move to voting.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, right now, is there any other nominations for chair?
I was going to nominate Brittany to
Okay.
remain as the chair.
Yeah.
She does a
She's
great
so good
job.
with the gavel.
She's very good.
All right, any nominations for vice chair?
Did you say Paulina had,
Is that the role that Polina expressed interest in? I know that's her current role from 2024. So I
Yeah.
wasn't sure which role she,
I believe she said she'd be happy to either keep that. I don't think she expressed interest in secretary.
okay. Anybody else have interest?
I'll do the secretary again, but I don't think there's any other vice chair nominations.
Okay. So self-nomination, fine with that? Okay. Any other nominations for
sorry.
secretary?
Tanisha, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch what just happened.
Yes. What just happened?
We confirmed that there were no more nominations for vice chair,
Correct.
that Paulina was
So I
the
think,
only
right-
nomination.
Yeah. So
And-
right now, Brittany, we're sitting at the same seats as last year.
Yeah, and Kelsey
For all
said that
three.
she would.
So, like Shan or Tom? No, you guys aren't interested in any positions? We
I
don't want
was-
to keep you from that. I just think that,
I was
no,
only
I don't
gonna,
want that to happen. I feel like you guys can't nominate yourselves if you are so interested.
I was only going to volunteer to be secretary if Kelsey wanted to let that go, because I know
want to.
taking minutes is not the most joyous of jobs.
If you want to, it's up to you.
I mean, I'm indifferent, but I just want to give you an out.
I'm okay to keep doing it.
Okay, so she's,
Tanisha, I'm so sorry. I can
she
hear
says
you
she's
really
good.
well, Tanisha, because you're right there, but I'm not able to hear what most every other person is saying.
So Shan and Kelsey were having a discussion about whether Kelsey really wanted the secretary role or not, because Shan would take it, but Kelsey has confirmed that she's okay keeping it.
Okay.
Okay, so with Robert's rules, I don't think we need a motion to close out nominations. Oh, no, we do. So if a member could motion to close nominations.
Motion to close nominations?
A second.
All in favor of closing nominations?
Okay.
Everyone? Okay. So nominations are closed.
So now we move on. Yeah, so now we can move on for a motion to determine that we will vote via voice. We can do that, Shan? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Okay.
so it says.
I
Tanisha,
motion.
in your-
I motion to vote on the 2025 Public Art Commission officer nominations by voice.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, guys, I'm having a hard time with the audio.
It's okay, Brittany. I think we're getting through it.
It was a very strange meeting.
Okay.
Oops. Sorry. All right, so now we do not need another motion to vote, but we can go ahead and hold the vote for each of those roles by voice. So how about I just go through each position, say the nominated, and raise hands, or say aye for yes. Okay. So for chair, we have nominated Brittany Harper. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. For vice chair, we have Paulina Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll have to let her know. And for secretary, we have Kelsey, oh gosh, I'm forgetting your last name, Kelsey.
Tenny.
Tenny?
Yeah.
Kelsey Tenny. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great.
Aye.
All right, and now, because the agenda, we jumped, we are now going back to the liaison report. So I just put together a little thing welcoming our new member, Jeremy Gibbs. Welcome, welcome. Jeremy does some pretty cool stuff here in Chamblee. He runs the Oddities Museum, and there's a shop inside called Rainy Day Revival. And one of their goals is to do some community events, one of which I attended recently, which was a free collage event with, what are they called, Atlanta Collage?
Atlanta Collage Collective.
And
And
it
we're
was-
doing it again in a couple of weeks.
It was a very cool event. I highly recommend it. So he's got family here and a business, and we're excited to have him.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome aboard.
Okay, so I've got a couple things on here that may require some more conversation going forward, but I think for today, since we have a pretty packed agenda, let's kind of leave them as informational, and if we really need to come back to it, we can. So I'll try to get through these kind of as quickly as possible. So this is the update on what we were calling a rebudget of 2024 funds. So these were projects that did not end up being finished in 2024. We had asked for them to be rolled over into 2025, and that had been approved. Unfortunately, we still didn't meet the deadline, which was 2/28, which is tomorrow, I believe. And that is mostly for the William Massey sculpture and the Artsy Elaine mural, both of which I will give you updates on, are moving forward, but we just are not ready to cut checks, those last checks. So to solve this issue, since we're going to basically lose that money that was quote unquote rolled over, I looked through this year's budget and found what was our lowest priority from the voting, which was the Chamblee Tucker retaining wall mural. And that had, I believe, $30,000 in for that budget. I'm not saying let's not do this project. I think let's put it back on the 2026 budget conversation. But that's really a perfect amount to take out of this year's budget to cover what we still owe for last year. Question for you, Elmer. Do you think we need a motion on this to change the budget priorities, I guess?
No, I don't think so. I mean, again, those are guidelines. No, I think just when it comes time to actually commit the funds, then we'd have to vote on it. Just please refresh my memory, the Chamblee Tucker retaining wall mural that's the one over by, where Serena Ty is, like over that end of Chamblee Tucker?
I believe so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of all the projects
Yeah.
to not get into, that would be a good one, because there's a multi-use path that we're designing
That's
through
right.
there, which essentially you're gonna have to shove that retaining wall back about 20 feet.
Okay, well, so maybe perfect timing.
This might work out. That project is still in the design phase, but I think we need to make sure we coordinate with that project going forward. 'Cause
Okay.
we may end up with some more opportunities as that gets designed as well. So I think that's probably the safest bet.
Okay.
That's great to know about that project. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right, so any questions on that?
We're talking about that new intersection and not doing the walls, right? Is that correct? No?
This is the retaining wall on Chamblee Tucker as you're coming up to the Beaufort Highway intersection. If you're heading towards Beaufort Highway, it's on the left-hand side.
And why are we holding off on it?
We have to realign funds to that. There's a multi-use path that's being designed to go along Chamblee Tucker from New Peachtree to Beaufort Highway. That's going to require realignment of that entire side of the street. So potentially where that retaining wall is now is not going to be there in the next, hopefully 18 months. So it would be I'd feel very bad doing a very nice mural there and then 12 months later taking a bulldozer to it.
And we just roll back the funds, so it's not earmarked for anything, is that correct?
Well, due to what we still owe from last year, it almost perfectly covers those old funds, so it's sort of a good, it's good timing.
Okay.
All right, this is my very early 2026 budget thoughts. This came about because in the city's strategic plan document, there's a page in there about public arts, and the people who had designed the document took from the old 10-year plan, the public arts plan, what we had not yet completed, and put it in this sort of 5-year looking forward document. So I took those, and there, in your paperwork here, is more information about this. What is bolded is what they had in that strategic planning document. And so I kind of came up with some ideas of how we could align next year's budget goals with those strategic goals. So again, I printed this out for you just so that we can kind of have it and start thinking about it early this year, but we do not need to discuss this tonight. And here,
So basically, we need to absorb this and maybe discuss in the future, right?
yes.
Okay.
Tanisha, whatever's in that handout, could you email that to me, or just let me know like what pages in the master plan you're referring to? Because I
For
was
sure.
trying to look at that earlier.
Yeah, I will send this to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Art Drop update. So Art Drop is in April, so we have about end of April, so we have about 2 months here. I already started making some of the marketing for this. I have ordered all the supplies, and the high school is that same Honors Art Club that we work with often. They are interested in putting together the kits for us this year. So I'm going to bring all that information over to them to drop off, and I mean, not information, the supplies, so that they can make those kits for us.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. So the Art Drop kits, this year I went with printmaking, which is almost the same kit as last year, which was our most popular kit. So I went ahead and did that one again. And then I changed the other 2 kits. One is going to be drawing, and then the other one is 2 different watercolor kits. One is the solid, the little solid circles, and then one is the watercolor pencils. And all of this comes with paper and whatever other tools they need.
I'm sorry, can you explain to me what the Art Drop kit is?
Yeah, so Art Drop is something that we do for Georgia Cities Week, and it's a way to get people out kind of into the parks and, into the community. And what we do is we provide art supplies, and we ask people to create a small piece of art and drop it anywhere in Chamblee, and then they leave hints on social media. And so they say, find this, and you can kind of tell it's Marta or something like that. When someone finds it, then they use the same hashtag, basically, to say, hey, I found this piece of art. So businesses can get involved, solo people. Last year, we had a lot more makers than we did finders. So if anyone has any ideas about how to get people to get out to find art, we can engage those people. Yep, the week of the 20th.
Tanisha, how many kits are we doing this year?
Oh, well, shoot. I want to say it's like 75, maybe? No, it's got to be more than that. Yeah, sorry, Brittany, I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
No, that's fine, that's fine. I was just curious. Yeah, I think that, via email or on Teams, we can internally discuss some ways to just increase community engagement, because it's clear that the artists and makers enjoy the concept. So we just want to make sure that the art that they're taking the time to create with these kits is getting into the hands of some folks who appreciate it, and not just sitting outside never to be found and ending up in the trash or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can figure that out internally. That shouldn't be a problem.
I'm wondering if we could think of some sort of way to why can't I say the word? Incentivize the, that one, to finding the art, other than obviously getting the amazing piece of work as well.
Yeah, I agree. Is there
I have-
any festival that we could attach it to, or develop a festival, or is it something, where it's incorporated as an activity of
So the Chamblee Art Fest, which is done by a third party, not by the city, is actually during this week. So maybe we can talk to the people who run that festival to see if they could include it in their marketing or something like that.
Yeah, or just May Day, there used to be a big thing, I remember, on the West Coast. But something that, with all of the arts and the booths, when we were doing the murals, that generated a lot of interest. And if you can fit this to incentivize it, it'd be good.
Will businesses be involved in this, like sponsorship?
So how we did it last year was a few businesses did participate, and what they did was they created their own drops. So for example, oh gosh, this place across the street here that does the classes. AR Workshop. They created kind of their own kit. Like, come find this kit, and then you can make something from that as well, because that's part of what they do as their business. And I believe we had someone else too, I don't remember. But people are welcome to, businesses are welcome to do it. You're welcome to hide it at businesses. And it was a little bit of a free-for-all. We told people they could put, their business cards and stuff with it.
I wasn't only thinking for myself or my business, but like to get other people involved, because other businesses will promote, for like a gift certificate or something like that with the art. Like, for myself, I would put a ticket for a museum, but maybe a coffee shop, I have a gift certificate for a drink or something.
Yeah,
Because
I think
then
it's a good
they would
idea.
want to promote, they would want to help promote picking up the art and finding the art.
I'd also say try and recommend artists to drop near where each of the events are happening that week for Cities Week.
Yeah,
You have a targeted day for, on Wednesday, look in this area.
that's a good idea.
I was gonna suggest something similar
Yeah,
to
that's
that,
great.
because, Jekyll Island, you know how they have the glass blowing, but they only
There's
put
also
the-
an event happening on that Saturday before,
Yeah. But like Jekyll Island
at
has
the MARTA station that's being put on by our sustainability department.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
an Earth Day type of event, this on Saturday, the 19th. So we could have some printed flyers out there, to share for anybody who'd be interested in participating in the art drop or looking to find art.
Okay, Brittany, I'll talk to you more about that.
But I was just gonna say, they have it all along the beach. It's all, like, all of their art pieces are along the beach. So it's like a specified area, while it's spread out and stuff, it's still localized.
And so where are the people making the art?
Where are they making it? You just do it at home or whatever.
Well, so would, also besides like businesses, if we wanted to get businesses involved, besides having businesses like give gift certificates for stuff, like some businesses, like for me, I would offer people to come to the gallery space and make their art in the space. So other businesses could do the same thing, coffee shops or whatever,
That's a
to
great
allow
idea,
people to
yeah.
come make their stuff in and kind of help promote it. Yeah, I was trying to be cute.
That's a good idea. I will, I've got contacts at a couple of the businesses right here. I'll talk to them, and then yours as well, yeah. Yeah, we do the gallery space. Yeah. Okay, anything else on Art Drop? All right, moving on to old business. Artsy Elaine, we are moving on this, finally. The work is going to begin on March 17th. I have been working with Public Works to make sure that we have all the permits we need and that we're blocking off the sidewalk appropriately. I would like to send a letter to the condos right there. I have not found that contact yet, but I also haven't done too much legwork trying to find it. But Elaine thinks it's going to take approximately 2 weeks. Of course, this all depends on weather, but we're getting close.
I can get you that contact.
Thank you.
Yay!
Okay. All right, and the William Massey update, I'm pretty excited about how much has been done recently with this. We ended up hiring a person who is, we talked about this in the last meeting, sorry, Tony. We hired him a minimal amount to kind of do that outreach into the Hispanic community for us around the Dresden Park area. He has really done a fantastic job so far. Some of you may have seen the video that I posted today with William Massey with the Spanish language in it. And he is going to do a couple other things for us. The cool thing, one of the cool things that Tony has done is he's gotten some other organizations interested in doing outreach as well for this. They're just kind of excited about it. So the Mexican consulate is on board, and there's an immigration lawyer's office that's on board. And they're just kind of reposting the social media and that kind of thing, which is really nice. So we had a meeting, I believe it was yesterday, with Tony and William to make sure we were all still on the same page, same timeline. Jody had a parks meeting at Dresden Park and gave us a little bit of a better timeline, saying that William could probably get started out there. I'm saying mid to end of May. And so, which is pretty close to what our original, or our second timeline was. So that's great.
And the park is coming along, that's ready to.
It is coming along.
Perfect. Coming along.
Yeah. And they said that entrance area should be done mid-May, and that's all we need is for William to be able to get into that entrance area. So,
Do we have a final image on all of his stuff?
no, because we're still doing the community outreach.
Okay, coming along.
Yeah.
That's all great news. That's a great update. Thank you, Tanisha.
Yeah, I'm really excited about, I know we were stalled for a little while, but I think we're really starting to move now. And Tony has started getting immigration stories and has started getting a lot of feedback. So I think that's going to start moving pretty quickly here. And William would like to have sketches, initial sketches for us at our next meeting.
All right, that's awesome.
Okay, performance in the park. So hopefully you all saw the email that I sent yesterday. Did everyone get a chance to look at that?
Yes.
And let me pull up the list here.
Did I also receive an email? You should have. Okay, I need to know to be on the lookout for that. I'm new.
Also to add Jeremy to the teams if he's not on there yet.
Tanisha, while you're pulling that up, I have just been advised, literally like 2 minutes ago, that I am related to one of the submitters. So I don't know that I can or should be involved in this.
Is one of the submitters, the person you're related to, are they on this final?
I don't know. I'm trying to find out. That's the problem.
The deadline has come as far as is that tomorrow, or is that as far as all the submissions have to be in and we just pick one?
The deadline was yesterday, and we are hoping to vote on it today.
Tanisha, I'm sorry, with the audio, I'm not catching everybody's comments. Was everybody able to look at it, or were there people who weren't?
I believe most people have looked at it. I think Jeremy did not see the email. And did you hear Paulina's comment?
No, I didn't hear the other comment.
She may have to recuse herself
her from-
because she may be related to one of the submitters.
Okay, got it.
It's a bad time for my brother to stop
so-
texting me.
Yeah, this is a little kind of unsure of like how to move forward, because I think it would be great if we could have Jeremy's input along with everyone else's input about the different submissions. So we could potentially table it during this call and then take vote via email over which one we choose, or via Teams, something along those lines. But if we need to do it publicly during this call, then my recommendation would be just to move forward. And we could talk about the ones that have risen to the top that we would like to consider, and maybe give Jeremy a little bit of background that way during the discussion, so that he's at least knowledgeable enough to feel like he could cast a vote.
Elmer,
Is there anything happening?
if we tabled it, is something like an RFP, it's a kind of a big deal. Would we be able to take a vote via another way? You have to be,
It should be done in the public meeting.
yeah. I mean, we could call a special meeting, Brittany.
I think what would be the best is maybe we talk about the ones that have kind of risen to the top and, maybe read the description, the short description that was provided, Tanisha, if you would be able to do that. And then we could have discussion about pros, cons, if we think it would be good. And Jeremy, do you think that that would give you enough of a background about the different submissions to feel like you could cast a vote?
Yes.
Okay. Because if not, did you say it was Kelsey who said she would have to recuse herself?
Polina.
Helena, okay. So then we would have Kelsey and Elmer and Tom and Shan and myself. So we do have enough votes that we have the quorum if Jeremy would prefer to abstain. But if he wants to vote after the discussion, then that is definitely his purview.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and go through the list of the ones that have risen to the top, which some of you may have seen the email earlier that I did add one to the end here. So I'm going to start at the top. La Candela Flamenco, and the performance name is Flamenco Journey. They are a flamenco company. It is live music and dance, and it's bilingual in Spanish, which is one of the things that we were kind of giving priority to. It's narrated in both English and Spanish. And of course, they offered a lot more information. I was just kind of keeping notes that I thought was interesting here. They're a very professional company. It's a beautiful performance. The next one is Sunday in the Park with George by Creative Artists Theatrical Studios. This one is pretty interesting for a couple reasons. It's not just a theatrical performance, it's a theatrical performance based on a fine arts painting, which I think kind of ticks a lot of boxes for us. And it's just an interesting one, I think. So they said one of the pieces that I pulled out was, given Chamblee's rich cultural demographics, we plan to incorporate cultural parallels in the discussion and showcase Surat's influence beyond Western art traditions. We will also ensure accessibility in promotional materials by including Spanish translations. Ideally, we will also provide ASL translation during performances. The next one.
Janisha, real quick,
Sure.
before you move on, I just wanted to add a little bit of perspective. That Sunday in the Park with George is a Broadway show from the 80s.
Okay.
So I would assume that they would get the proper permissions to perform that. I'm not sure, since that one is almost 40 years old, what the permissions would entail. But it is, and I did watch a good chunk of the video. It is about a 2-hour performance. It is not inappropriate for children or families, but it's definitely not something that is, I would think would be as engaging for children or families, because it does seem to have more of a different type of theme. It did have, at least in the video they did share, they had a big projection screen, and because it is based on a painting, and there are so many characters, it is an ensemble cast because there are lots of people in this painting, if you guys are not familiar with it. So I think that would be kind of something that would be important to them to be able to produce that. So that I think is going to need to be like a technical consideration. And I did not get a chance to read their tech writer, so hopefully they've addressed that in there. But I just wanted to give a little bit more perspective on what Sunday in the Park with George was.
Thank you for that, Brittany. Did everybody get that? Shan, you didn't?
I missed the first part.
So basically, to summarize, the painting, if you don't know the painting.
I know the painting.
Okay,
It's one of my
is like-
favorites.
Okay, there's a lot of different characters in the painting, so it's a fairly large cast, and they also project the painting behind
Right,
them.
yes.
So there's some technical aspects that we don't know, how well that's gonna look during the day,
Right.
that kind of thing. And then also Brittany was saying that it may be, not as engaging for kids and families with kids, because it's a bit of a slow build.
Yeah.
And also that it originally was a Broadway play, and Brittany was concerned that they may not have permission.
Oh, okay, that's what I didn't hear. So
But
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, being 40 years old, you may not need it. I
Right.
would have
Well,
to.
Yeah,
There-
we would just put
Sorry.
the onus on them to make sure they have the proper permissions to perform it, that's it.
Okay.
The sheet says that they do.
Yes,
ticked
the
that they
sheet
do.
said they checked the box. They said
Okay.
they did, yeah.
I am curious now that the whole kid-friendly thing came up, is how many of these are kid-friendly?
There was quite a few kid-friendly ones on the original list. Some were honestly maybe too kid-friendly. They were kind of like, preschool-based. So I think we got a pretty good mix. Out of these, I think dance and story is always very kid-friendly. But the question for the commission is, do we need it to be kid-friendly? If we went with someone who was doing A Midsummer's Night Dream by William Shakespeare, they were interested in doing it at night. It could be more adult-based. Come drink wine under the stars.
That sounds nice.
Can I ask a couple questions? So, when is this happening?
Brittany, do you remember the date on this?
I'm sorry, the performance date, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, performance date. I don't have it in front of me.
It was the weekend after Mother's Day, which I think is May 17th. And we
Okay,
were asking for them to do at least 2 performances and 2 audience engagement activities. That could be talkbacks or webinars, educational seminars, or whatever that might look like for them. So it could be the 17th and 18th, or 2 performances on the same day. Like that was, that was flexible, but that's the weekend we're looking at.
and what time during the day?
So that's sort of up to these production companies of how, if it's something that needs a lot of lighting and they are providing the lighting, then they could say that they want to do it at night.
And what else is happening during this time?
We were thinking of inviting, we haven't really started on that yet, but we were thinking about maybe having the high school drama team do like an opening, maybe having a little bit of a festival kind of thing, because these drama companies are providing a talkback or an educational piece. There'll be something to kind of do between the showings, if that makes sense.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to understand, like, if they're putting on this performance, are other things happening during the day? Like, is it a big event, like food or anything else happening?
So it's the first year that we've done this, and it's going to be out here in front of City Hall. And this is the entertainment district, so people can get food and drinks and walk around with them. So they would be able to go across the street, get a
Okay.
beer or something like that, and come back.
Okay.
It was sort of also thought of as like being in a park where, you could bring a picnic and, kind of
I understand.
do things like that. But we did have some, like parameters that had to do with, being mindful of the Chamblee culture and the demographics, and then having that educational component as well. And we talked about it being family-friendly, but not
Kitty.
kiddie, exactly.
Not
Yeah,
for children.
that's a good word for it.
So, are we looking to only have one performer? Okay. And how long of a performance are we looking for them to do?
We've asked for at least 1 hour.
Okay.
Done twice.
Okay.
This, for example, the Sunday in the Park with George is a 2-hour performance, and we would ask them to do it twice.
Okay.
So I was going to answer another question, but
Well, when we talk about these, that's what I would like to know, is like how long the performance is. All the people have told like how long their performance is? So how long is the dancing performance?
That's a good question. I do not think that we asked them to tell us exactly how long each performance was. We just said it had to be at least 1 hour.
Okay, so you set the parameters and they know that it has to be at least an hour?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so what you're seeing here, Jeremy, is 5 out of the 20 submissions that we got.
And how did we come up with 5?
So I narrowed it down, sort of scoring it by some parameters that we had set up beforehand. So if they, for example, we asked them to provide a video. If they did not provide a video, I did
They're
a
gone.
-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they were if the performance was bilingual, they got a point. That kind of thing.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
We can research this online and
You absolutely can. I had sent an email with this and then also with a link to the
Yes,
all
yeah,
20.
okay.
Yeah.
So my first step in determining which one I like is figuring out if this is for kids or not for kids. You know, like if that's like, because my opinion will change based on what we're targeting. So I guess I know that's backwards than what you said earlier, but that's kind of like my starting place. So, I don't know, like, do we want to do like one earlier in the evening since there's 2 performances that goes into nighttime so that we can have one, you know, like, that's my thing. I don't know. What do we want? Because like the dancing one seems like it would be a really good evening type, performance, and it's visually engaging, I think, for kids. You know, so that one's the one I'm kind of leaning towards for those reasons. But if we want something more adult or if we want something more kiddish, that's where I'm stuck.
Well, it also depends on what time of the day. Exactly. And when did you say May, so what's the weather?
Like afternoon,
Yeah,
like early afternoon or later after, yeah, exactly, like,
about this time.
yeah. Or earlier, actually, because I think when I was thinking of performance in the park, I know I think I was one of the people who suggested it when we were throwing out ideas, is I really had more of a play or musical in my brain when I thought about that. So even though I enjoy like the flamenco dancing and all of that, that also sort of reminded me of just something that I might see come to my school and perform. You know, like I really was looking for like a theatrical troupe that was gonna, you know, perform something that just had a little bit more, just more storytelling in a play form or even in a musical form. So like the Sunday in the park with George had a little musical going on, but I also wonder if 2 hours, it was a slow burn, I will say, when I watched the video. So I'm wondering if that's too much, that 2 hours of that, we're gonna lose some people. So, and I don't know about the Midsummer Night's Dream. That's actually the play I had in my head when I did that idea. That's 2 hours, but maybe, yeah, I don't know about this group, what they're
Tanisha, I'm so
doing.
sorry, I really cannot understand what they're saying. Can you at least like summarize or
Yeah, so
is there anything you would like me to speak to as well?
I think people are sort of just talking about how do you kind of determine whether we want something kid-based or adult-based, and is there a way to satisfy both? And then there was some conversation again about the Sunday in the park with George being a bit of a slow burn, and Shan was saying that when she thinks of a performance in the park, that she's really thinking more about a dramatical, a drama, not necessarily a dance.
If there was more than one performance, I think it'd be cool to have.
Well, I would say that, there can be a way to satisfy both, like, you know, adults and children, because that spectacle, right? The element of drama and music and dance and all of those big things can be just as entertaining to youth audiences as well as adult audiences. So I don't think that we can have a wrong answer. If we want to say this is more geared towards adults, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's not inappropriate for children, right? Or we could say we specifically want something that is more family appropriate. I don't think that there is a wrong answer. It's just, what do we think that is, I guess, more needed or wanted of our residents?
I guess, like,
So
A Midsummer's
that's
Night
kind of
Dream.
where I'm leaning. And then I think one of the other questions I heard was about runtime, or asking how long the performance was. So just wanted to chime in about that and say Sunday in the Park with George is 2 to 2.5 hours. The other dramatic piece that was submitted was Midsummer Night's Dream by the Weird Sisters Project. And that is also a 2 to 2.5 hour performance if they're doing like the full text, if they abridge or anything, which they didn't specifically say if it was or was not. So that's about the length of time for that. And then the other performances or the other submissions, I don't think they said specifically, but we did require that it had to be at least an hour plus whatever the engagement activity was.
So I think if they're doing 2 of those, like the Midsummer Night Dream, that's 4 hours of playtime conservatively, and then maybe 30 minutes of engagement afterwards. That's a lot of time for them. That's a very long festival, but also those type of things I feel like are more like sit and stay, get up and use the restroom, but not really have like other things going on, like go getting a drink and things like that. It's more like sit in a picnic. So I guess it depends on the vibe we want to.
Again, I'm going to try to, I'm really only catching a few words. I'm so sorry, you guys, that the audio is just not working out for us, but it sounded like there was concern about people sitting or standing, for that length of time. I would assume it would be okay to say to people that they can bring blankets and camping chairs or folding chairs or whatnot, to be able to make themselves comfortable during that time if we choose to go that route.
Okay, so I was going to say, I kind of agree with what you're saying. When I pictured this, I pictured like when you first started talking about it, it's like about 5 o'clock, the sun's starting to come down a little bit, this time of day, and it'd be vibrant, like the music and stuff. I'm kind of interested in talking about this at the bottom, the interactive music and dance and storytelling, because that seems like it's like engaging with the audience. Where, like you were saying, is like people could walk away and go get a drink and come back and still be like engaging in something that they're doing, and it not be a storyline that you had to follow. Because I don't think we're going to be, for me, I wouldn't think that we're going to be able to expect people to sit for 2 hours and watch Midsummer Night's Dream, although that is very, something that I would really like to see happen, in this kind of setting, but I don't know that I would expect people to sit for 2 hours for that, especially there's going to be 2 performances. But I picture people like walking around, like you said, they could go across and get food, people have popcorn, whatever. Kids are like kind of running around and playing, and, there's music happening.
Well, Tanisha, can you talk a little bit more about Tara Chadwick? Because that was interesting to me as well. She was doing the indigenous stuff.
Sure, yeah. So Tara Chadwick had not come up on the points end of things, but I did think that she rose to the top for other reasons, and that's why I kept her on here. So her and her family, if you, in the original application, you can pull up the resume section, and in that, it's actually her entire family, including her little ones, did a little resume, and they all come out and do indigenous teaching from not just here in the South, but also all over the world. Her and her family have some African diaspora and Brazilian, and a lot of different indigenous cultures in their family. And so they celebrate kind of world indigenous cultures, which is really interesting. And they involve where you are on the earth, so that sort of the ecosystem that the presentation is taking place on. So I thought that was interesting, and it's also beautiful. It's a beautiful performance, and she's won a lot of awards, and I just think it would be something that could be cool to bring to Chamblee. And then Brittany had asked to also add the Polynesian dance and entertainment, and Brittany had said that that may be important because that month is Asian American Heritage Month. Yes. So that's something to think about as well.
So,
I
She
did
was-
think, I did want to chime in and say, because I watched the video clips that were provided by both the Indigenous performance and the Polynesian Review, and I felt like the Polynesian Review performance footage was more, it just was more energetic, and I thought that one might, and there was also a fire dancer. Hello, yes, that would be fantastic. I feel like that one might be a bit more engaging for a youth audience if that is, something that we want to take into consideration. Whereas the other one, there were lovely moments to it for sure. But it did seem to be a little bit more subdued, at least in the clips that I was watching.
so for what it's worth, Chadwick was my first, pick again. But again, it depends on the vibe that we're going for. But I personally, I'm ready to vote if we want to. But, yeah, I did like hers the best, so.
If I can weigh in, I think we have to understand what we're trying to present, which specifically is a structured arts event. It's not a drop in, drop out, go get a beer, eat your popcorn, go to the carnival. Not that there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy those immensely, but the point of this grant is to bring a structured arts event to the community. And ideally to as much of our community as we can. Hence the requirement for X number, 2 performances and such. I unfortunately cannot get any of the Google documents to open, so I can't take a look at the tech writers for any of these. Unfortunately, we have to weigh in mind how much time is it going to take for whoever it is to set up, load out afterwards. If it's a substantial thing, it's going to be 2 night events, are we going to have to provide overnight security for their equipment? This is my production manager hat coming out. There's a big difference between 2 days of events versus everything in one day. 2 shows in one day is a lot for the performers. 2 days of events is a lot for the facility. So just kind of to keep that in mind as we think about what it is we're going to present. But again, I think the biggest thing here is this isn't like the things we have when we have other events here where we have different community performance groups coming in as part of it. And again, it's a drop in, drop out sort of thing. The idea is to create this structured, long form object for our community. So everyone needs to keep that in mind, I think.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, that helps. So again, I'd like to say that if it is going to be a structured event, then that way where we expect everybody to come in and have full focus for the whole entire time of the performance, I don't know if we could expect people to sit for a 2-hour performance outside.
I will say that it's done all the time. Chicago Shakespeare Theater used to be one of my clients. They do an entire circuit of events in the parks of Chicago every summer, where it's a full, complete performance on a portable stage for 2.5 hours. I mean, it's like any other theater experience. You have it, it's structured, you have an intermission, the whole thing. It's not. Well, I'm going to assume, I have trouble believing any theater company wants to do 2 hours straight without a break, indoors or out. So, again, as the event's being planned, I think those things will be mapped out. But I can't imagine anything running 2 hours without a break. I mean, Taylor Swift can't even do that.
And thank you for saying that, Elmer, because I think that is exactly what.
Yeah, I think they had an intermission built in.
Yeah, that's what I had in my head, is that this isn't one of the summer concerts. It's not just, oh, here we just want to present something educational. Like, this was a structured, artistic event. So that is what I had in my mind. And, when it comes to, are we stuck on 2 performances? Did we say you have to do 2 performances? If we came back to them and said, hey, like, let's say the Midsummer's Night group, the Weird Sisters Theater Project, if we went to them and said, we know that your performance is 2 hours, we're kind of thinking about, our demographics and where we're going to be, would you be okay with just doing it once? Like, could we do that?
I don't think they care, but we're still paying the same amount.
Right, it's what we're paying. But
And
then we could do a morning, I don't know what their setup's like, but we could do something at, like, say, noon, like a matinee, and then we could do something, in the early evening or something, maybe.
And
like
I think
that.
that was the idea, that maybe you get the people with very young kids who are going to be kind of running around early on in the day, and then a little bit of a different crowd in the second showing.
And then also, I mean, I don't know if maybe they have more than one version of that where they'll be like, oh yeah, we have one that's an hour and a half, or we have, so that's might be a possibility.
That's a good idea. I bet they would have a shortened version, you could say, for a shorter audience.
Are people allowed to have open container? Okay. All right, good. All right, cool. So they could bring a bottle of wine and sit there and watch, okay.
They actually you cannot bring your own alcohol into the downtown entertainment district. It has to be purchased from one of the businesses here, and there's a specific carry label that has to be put on it, and so on and so forth. But it is an open container district when it's purchased from one of the restaurants or breweries in the downtown.
Does that include buying a full bottle of wine at one of the new wine places?
No, you cannot do that.
You cannot.
The open container rules have hard caps on the size of pours. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I believe it's 12 or 16 ounces for beer, 6 ounces or 8 ounces for wine, and 4 or 6 for mixed drinks. But it is spelled out in the ordinance.
Tanisha,
Yes.
I think I was hoping we could do a vote tonight, but I think, and you guys feel free to chime in, but I feel like it might be worth tabling the vote, because we've only had a day with these submissions. And like Elmer was saying, he hasn't had a chance to open those Google Docs and look at all those tech writers. And I think his opinion of those tech writers would be invaluable to this decision-making process. And I think it would also give Jeremy a chance to review all of those submissions. And if folks haven't had a chance to go further in depth and look at the videos that were supplied of the submissions that did rise to the top, and read further into that, I think we'd be doing ourselves a little bit of a disservice if we make a decision without having had that fuller consideration of what is being presented. And it sounds like we're talking more about like what we want to present versus the merits of each particular submission, there's nothing wrong with that discussion. I think that's very valuable too. but maybe we continue that portion of the discussion, and then if there's a way to maybe do a virtual special meeting, maybe this time next week, and we give ourselves 7 days to review and form opinions and ask questions, if 1 day has not been enough time for the commission to review and feel like they can make a good decision.
For what it's worth, would we be able to go back to the ones that have submitted without an estimated time? Because that would be something I'd like to consider as well.
I'm sorry, can you say the question again?
Can we go back to the ones that haven't submitted their length of the performance and ask them how long the performance they intend will be?
We could, yeah. I mean, yeah, if we had other questions that we wanted to kind of come up with, I could send out maybe a group email to all the submitters and ask those, 2 additional questions or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe that might be helpful, because that's something I would like to consider as well.
Yeah.
Especially if we're gonna consider, if we haven't even decided if this is a 1-day event or a 2-day event too.
I think we can assume 1 day.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
But we had originally thought maybe 2 day, but then it dawned on us that having a stage for more
Yeah.
than 1 day would be a nightmare.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it would cost the companies too much, so I think 1 day is probably what we're looking at. Does anyone have anything else to say about maybe tabling this?
Next week is bad for me.
Did you hear that, Brittany?
I did.
We need more time, but I'm actually at a theater conference all next week.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all of the second part of what you
so
said.
Elmer's actually out at a theater conference all next week.
Could we do a special
Excellent.
meeting the week of the 10th then? Does anybody have any discrepancies there?
Okay, well, I think that would be, maybe the next week. That gives us 2 weeks. I feel like that is a good amount of time to evaluate, but not waiting a whole extra month before we vote and make a decision. Are you good the next week, Elmer?
We have council that week on Thursday. So if we can
Okay.
do it Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, I believe.
So with Tuesday, the 11th?
That would be
does
March
work?
11th or 12th.
Yeah.
I'm good with the 11th.
I'm out the 11th and the 10th.
So the 12th then?
Oh,
Oh,
Speaking
that's
of,
right,
I
yeah.
just found out she didn't make the cut in this list, so I
But
can vote.
we're working with the whole list at this point.
Oh, in that case, no,
I mean,
no.
again, unless they come back up, you just can't vote for them. It really is what
Understood.
we'd have to clarify on that one.
I'm happy with whatever. I mean, I wouldn't go based off of me. I have pretty limited availability that week, so all good.
Can we do this virtually, or should we do it in person?
I think for a special called meeting, you have to do it in person and you need a quorum.
Okay.
Unless we were under COVID rules.
That's all we would do, though, is come here and vote on that and leave.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm good with that on Tuesday, the 11th. But, would you prefer the 12th? Would you be able to make it the 12th?
So do we have at least 4
I'll
people
make
who
it.
are available
I'm here.
next Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday?
I'm here.
Yeah,
And our committee's gonna meet
Okay.
on the 11th, just for this specific item.
Okay.
I mean, if you, I don't know if I can without looking at my schedule. I probably can make it on the 12th, but if everyone can come on the 11th but me,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Can we maybe agree that whether we're going to go, because it seems to me that the structured performance is down to either Shakespeare or George Seurat, and the others are much more interactive and more of a festival sort of thing.
I
Would
wouldn't
you
say
agree
that.
with that?
No.
How so?
I think a flamenco performance can be a very structured, I think any any of these performances can be in a structured format. My point being that this is not a come and go sort of thing. It is a defined block of time with a
Okay.
performance schedule. Some more structured than others, I think, but I think regardless, it's they're all built around an event.
Okay, so with that said, what I'll do, at some point, I'm actually at a career day all day tomorrow, but at some point I will go into that Google file And I will add all of you as editors with your email so that we don't run into the issue that Elmer is running into where he can't open those Google files. So I'm going to add you all to that. You should see an email that says something like that. You will then just accept it, and you should have access to all of those. Are we ready to move on from this one? Okay.
I would say, just real quick before we do move on, can we put a timeline on our feedback or questions or whatnot that we want to send to you, Tanisha? So maybe by next Friday, the 7th, because I know Elmer's out of town.
Yeah, I think
You
if
just said that, out of town. Okay.
yeah, if people have questions or need me to reach out to any of the groups, let's try to do that by the 7th, that Friday before the meeting.
Can you send a reminder, Tanisha?
I will
So that
send
they
a
would at
reminder.
least have the weekend to try to provide an answer to us before we voted on Tuesday,
Yeah.
did we say Tuesday, the 11th?
Yeah,
So here, March 11th, 6 PM.
yeah, and I've got to make sure that there's a room available and all that, but I'll send that out.
Okay.
All right, moving on, and I will try to be quick. Little Free Art Gallery, basically all you guys need to know about this is that the Boy Scouts are on board. I have been in discussion with the specific Boy Scout who is going to take this on, and he's excited, we're excited. We were trying to nail down what works with his schedule, and he's going to get back to me for a timeline on this. But I believe we're good on this. We have not chosen a location yet. I think since it's getting a little late, I think we can agree to talk about this probably at the next meeting. I don't think we need to have a solution for that at this moment.
Sounds good.
Okay. And that's it. We're at public comment, Brittany.
All right, anyone out there? No public comment, all right. So at this
Bueller?
point, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Awesome. Any comment, objection? All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. No nays? I don't hear any nays. You guys,
No
I cannot
nays.
see you. All right, we are adjourned at 7:13 PM.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Brittany. I will talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
trip.
you.